My name is Attorney Joey Franks. I am the big man at Big Man Law. I am a DUI attorney. It is what I do day in and day out. And I wanted to take a minute and go through what we look at when we first get a case to determine what angles of attack we want to take. This is without us getting additional evidence or anything at the point, just right out the gate. The first thing I'm looking for is probable cause, because the police must possess a reason to stop you. It is the first thing we look at for beating a DUI. The Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 3, Section 23 of the Mississippi Constitution protect you from unreasonable searches and seizures. When determining whether or not probable cause exists, Mississippi courts repeatedly held the issue is whether or not the officer reasonably and objectively believed that a traffic violation had occurred. That's from Sellers v. State, a Mississippi Court of Appeals case from 2021. They're citing Adams v. City of Booneville, it's Court of Appeals case from 2005. The way we combat that is a thorough examination of the videos and reports of the incident ultimately. At trial, we may ask pointed questions of the officer, deputy, trooper, whichever one pulled you over about what led up to the stop. Once they cannot show a reasonable belief that you had committed a crime, you win. And we get a lot of this information from our clients because our clients were the ones that were there. So when you're giving us this intake, we get this information and we're going off into these questions that sometimes people don't understand why we're asking them. We're asking them because I'm trying to determine on the head end whether or not there was any probable cause for the stop. Now, if a client says that, hey, I was speeding and they pulled me over because I was speeding, then that's going to be probable cause for the stop, and we keep going. Next, we're trying to see whether or not our clients talk to the officer. And what I'm asking here is, did you admit to drinking? Did you admit to coming from a bar? All this starts to become cumulative evidence at some point. Now, just because you admit to drinking a beer, that doesn't mean that you're impaired. Under Mississippi law, we're not looking for drinking and driving. We're looking for driving under the influence. So that's the key part here. But when this officer is asking you questions, they're also looking for other things. The odor of alcohol, slurred speech, red, bloodshot eyes, fumbling, nervousness, and anything that they can articulate as impairment. So keep in mind when this investigation is going on, they are digging on multiple levels. So we always tell our clients on the head end of things to affirmatively assert your right to remain silent. It gives you the best chance of beating a DUI. The next thing we look at is whether or not somebody took any kind of breath test. We scream, heck no, don't blow it every chance that we get. I need to know whether or not a client took the portable breath test, which is only admissible to show whether or not there was a presence of alcohol. You don't get the percentages off the PBT. That comes from the Intoxilyzer 8000, which is the machine that's used in the state of Mississippi, and it gives a precise readout. And then we're looking at whether or not things were done properly. And I can tell a lot of that from a ticket that a person gives me. And sometimes I may have additional documents. That's when we ask for all that in the intake. Give it to us right out the gate so we have it and we can start figuring out exactly what's going on your paperwork. Now, another thing is the field sobriety testing. It's a battery of 3 tests. The horizontal gaze nystagmus test, that's where they do the finger back and forth in front of your eye. And then we have the walk and turn test, which is where you walk 9 steps. You take a really, really, really weird turn and walk 9 steps back. It is a very unnatural test. And then we have the one leg stand test. Athletes pass these tests. I don't pass these tests. I've never passed these tests, not at continuing legal education seminars. I've done these tests sober as a judge, and I've done them drunker than Cooter Brown, and I have yet to pass one. So the field sobriety test, we're wanting to know whether or not you perform those, because we're trying to see what avenues we need to be hitting on, what we can be expecting in the discovery, what case law to go ahead and start setting aside and pulling, or maybe even researching altogether, because maybe that's something I've never come across before, which the longer I do this, the more and more unusual that is, but it has happened in the past, so we always go down there. We don't leave any stone unturned here. We want to make sure we're giving our clients the absolute best representation possible. possible. That's why you should hire Big Man Law, because I've just scratched the surface on what we do when it comes to a DUI that's alcohol related.